So good evening and welcome to the district team briefing for the 2014 season. If we haven't met yet, my name is Kevin Ross and I am the Pacific Northwest District Chair. Also with me on the line tonight is Adrian Riney, who is the Program Manager for FRC and FTC. And we also have Susan Martucci, who is our Volunteer Coordinator. And we have a whole bunch of other people on the line that who are key volunteers. So they will be helping us, I'm sure, by jumping in to tell you things that I'm getting wrong, because there's a lot to cover. All right. Tonight we are going to, well, first of all, the logistics of this. I typically move pretty quickly. Your microphone is off, so that's not a problem. If you have a question, there is a question box. You can type a question in there, and we usually get quite a few questions, and we will summarize them and try and answer them in bulk. The slides for this presentation and a video of it will be on our website. Actually, the slides are already there, and then we'll have the video posted in a couple hours. It takes a couple hours for it to render. Okay, tonight's agenda, I want to go over some important dates that are coming up for everybody. I want to discuss some venue time changes that are very important for many of us. And then we need to go through what's going to happen before the event. And so we'll get into that. We need to talk about the pit area rules and restrictions, a little bit about Dean's List judging, and a little about travel to St. Louis. I'm hoping to get done in less than an hour, because that seems like far more than enough time. But before I do kick it off, I did want to put in a plug here. We would love your help. All of our events, normally we just run a few events a year. This year we're running 11. We need more volunteers than we've ever needed in the past. We are really looking for people that would like to step up and help us out to be inspectors. And that's all of you mentors. If you're a mentor that's done this for a couple of years, we could really use you as an inspector. You can inspect at the event that your team is at. If you would like to help us out and help inspect other teams, obviously you're not going to inspect your own team, but we would really appreciate it if you could sign up on volunteer.firstwa.org. There's the URL right there. You'll need to register, and it's one of those, you register, it'll send you a confirmation email. And when you reply to that respond to the confirmation email, you'll go in and select an event. If you would, you or one of the other mentors on your team would really want to help us out and sign up to be an inspector. Most of the inspections are done on Thursday. It's just a few hours, and then we'll release you to your team. Really critical for us, because we have a lot of stuff going on. We're also looking for judges. If you've got school administrators or your principal or business leaders that you think would enjoy getting involved in FIRST, or you would like them to come see what you're doing, please consider having them volunteer to be a judge at your local event. We would really appreciate it. It is a very interesting experience. People really enjoy it, and it would really help us out. Pretty much all of our venues, especially the ones in Washington State, are in need of both judges and inspectors. If you have other people who are normally just going to go sit around and they would like to volunteer to do things, we're also looking for people who'd like to be audiovisual in our AV group, doing some camera work at some of our events. We're also looking for people that would like to be crowd control and those sorts of things. So there's lots of opportunities. Check out our website. There we go. What we're going to talk about tonight includes some very important dates that I want to make sure everybody's aware of. In about a week, on 2/13/14, the Chairman's Award submissions are done. This is earlier than in the past, so I just wanted to point that out. Same day, the Entrepreneurship Award deadline. If your team is interested in chasing after either one of those, be aware that this is a week earlier than it was before. Robert Steele, by the way, asked a very good question. Yes, inspections are generally on Thursday for all but 2 of our events. So it'll be Thursday 5 to 10, Robert, is when inspections happen. Okay, Next weekend, we will have a lot of practice fields available. There's going to be one at Aviation High School. There's one in Tacoma. There's one in Spokane. If you are hosting a open scrimmage or a field that people could scrimmage on, if you would send an email to me, kevinro@firstwa.org, I will put that up on our website. Okay. The 2/18/14 is Build Stop Day, so that is Bag and Tag Day, and I believe the bag and tag is actually by midnight, but I'm going to allow you to read the rules for yourself, to interpret them yourself. But that is a very important day. I'm going to give everybody a heads up that there are a very small number of teams had issues with their kits of parts and have been granted an extension by FIRST. Those teams already know who they are. It does not apply to you. So if you hear that there is another team that is building until the 23rd, that is very special circumstances, and it was on FIRST's fault. And so there are like maybe 3 or 4 teams in the entire Pacific Northwest that qualify for that. So if you hear that one of those teams is building, that does not apply to you. Build Stop Day is on Tuesday, 2/18. Okay. The other important date, which is coming up, and you know, most of you will start ignoring our emails here pretty quick, but we have something called the Auburn Mountain View Check-In. You'll hear about that a little bit later, but next week we have a briefing about Auburn Mountain View. But if you are in the Auburn Mountain View event, which is week 1, the check-in date is on the 20th. The rest of the check-in dates we'll tell you about later. And the last thing on the 20th is also Dean's List application deadline. So if you've got an essay about one of your students, that is when that is due. All right. Moving right along. These are where the events are, and I'm going to point out a couple of things on here. One is that we are going to Eastern Washington University. There was a backup plan to go to West Valley, and we thank the team and the entire school at West Valley for their for offering that as a backup plan. It turns out that Eastern is available, and so we will be at Eastern Washington University. The other thing to point out is that there are 2 events. One of them is at Auburn Mountain View High School, and the other one is at Auburn High School. Those are different venues. They are different days. Sometimes people get confused by that, and I've had a couple of questions about that already in the past week. So just wanted to point those 2 out. So that is the schedule. It's coming right up. All right. Here we go. So Randy, I'm sorry. I will tell you what team check-in means later. Yes, Auburn Mountain View event is on the 27th, not the 20th. I chose poorly. I made up a form today. I'll tell you about that later. Okay. So dealing with the schedule, and we just want to point out that it may turn out that you find out that you're going to be headed to Portland on week 6 after the results from OSU. Okay, you're going to end up going the next week. We highly encourage you to prearrange with your school district, with whatever bureaucracy you need to deal with in order to make that trip. Likewise, from the district championships to national championships is a short window. Let's be optimistic. Let's find out what it's going to take for your team to get there and try and get all of the administrivia out of the way. Schools do this all the time with the football team and the basketball team, so this is not a new procedure for anybody. They find out like a week in advance that they're going off to some
and Kevin, can I interject for a second? I know with my school district, they've told me that I can fill out paperwork for every single event I plan to attend right now. And so, you know, for those of you, even if you're not sure, I believe for many of your school districts, you can just go ahead and fill out all the paperwork now, and if you don't make it, call them and say, well, it's not needed. But that way, if you do make it, it's already done.
Great advice. Absolutely. So I hope that helps you with that little thought, because I know I've gotten several comments from people about their school's procedures and wondering about how they're supposed to handle that. If a little pre-planning, you'll be in good shape. Okay, so that is dealing with the schedule. Here is the general schedule for all of the district events, except for 2 of them. You are going to arrive at 5 p.m. on Thursday, and that's when the pits open at pretty much all of our venues, except for Mount Vernon and OSU. You're going to come in, you're going to get set up. The practice field will be set up and open in the pit area or wherever it gets set up, but the competition field will not be available, we don't think. We are going to set it up as quickly as we possibly can. Many of these venues are in high schools and other places that the field may or may not be available to practice on Thursday night. We will make it available for you on Friday morning, and you can see, unlike previous events, please, if you're an old hand at first, look at this schedule. It is much different than events that you've gone to in the past. Pits open at 8 a.m. Opening ceremonies aren't till 11 a.m. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that your goal on Thursday is to pass inspection, period. I'll talk more about this in a little while, but and then Friday morning is for you to practice. So that is what that's how these district model events work. They are different than the traditional regionals you've been to. You can see that now all of our events are between 28 and 36 teams. You will be moving fairly quickly, and so we realize that. So what we've done is we've thrown in a couple of breaks for you so that you get a chance to take a little breather, to maybe make a major repair, to maybe just go outside and stretch your legs. So from 11 to 1, we're doing qualifying matches, or 11:15 to 1. Then we have a half-hour break. And then we have qualifying matches till 4:30, and then we're going to take a 30-minute break, and then 5 to 7. And the exact times of this are sort of subject to change, sort of based on how many teams are at your event and how well the game is moving. Saturday is going to be just like a regional event, just like you're used to. You're going to show up at 8 a.m., pits open, 9 a.m. opening ceremonies, and off we go. Okay? So Friday is much different. Let me tell you about, if you are going to Mount Vernon and OSU, this is different. Mount Vernon and OSU, the teams don't show up on Thursday. The teams show up Friday morning. These are both 28 and 29 team events, respectively. It turns out when we scheduled things out, there was a ton of time. In fact, actually, it was too much time. So what we're doing is we're moving the start time all the way up to about 2 o'clock. That is something for you to be aware of, that you are not coming on Thursday if you're at Mount Vernon OSU. Okay. The other thing I probably should mention, and this is going to come up a lot, is the exact time that the pits are going to open will be announced to you at your venue. The reason I'm telling you that, some of the schools open at 8 o'clock, and so the pits may not actually open until 8:15. We're trying not to impact the school too much on Friday. You will be able to come in on Thursday, but we know, for example, that Auburn High School is probably going to open the pits like at 8:10 or 8:15. We'll talk about that at the site-specific briefings that we're going to do, and you please follow our instructions on those so that we don't collide too much with the indigenous population. Okay, hopefully that's making sense so far. We're excited about OSU and Mount Vernon. It's going to be an interesting trial. You probably already saw email about this, but we're trying to save the number of volunteer hours, and people are using up vacation days to do this, so this saves a lot of volunteers from having to take an extra day off of work. Plus, it turns out that we would have only played for 2.5 hours on Friday, and the judges wouldn't have been able to actually do their thing either. So this is a good thing for everybody. All right, off we before your event, we will have site-specific team briefings. We really need somebody from your team to attend these. They are going to start next week with Auburn Mountain View at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and they generally were on Wednesdays, but we had some scheduling issues with resources, so most of them are on Wednesdays. The first two are not. We're going to cover how to arrive, where to go, where to park, and all those sorts of things. We are in high schools that are open for business. Please have somebody attend these specific briefings. They are really important for you. Otherwise, you run the chance of making a mess out of your morning. So please be sure to schedule somebody to attend these. We will be sending links out to these things in advance, and we'll send them just to the teams that are going to like Auburn Mountain View and such. Okay. Hopefully that made sense to you, and off we go. We'll go to the next one. Before your arrival, you still get your 30 pounds of prefab with holdings, and you get 6 hours of robot access period. Now, this is really important, and this is an enormous change to what you're used to, so tune into this. Thursday is not final build day. Thursday is show up at the event and pass inspection. So you get your 6 hours. You're still getting 12 hours of out of the bag, just like a Thursday, but the first 6 hours of that are going to be at your shop doing your inspection with your tools. So we don't care that you show up. If you show up when your robot is half disassembled, you may not make an inspection, and we're not going to hold the game up for you. So it is your goal to show up and do your thing. Somebody is okay. Yes, everybody. I just got the mail as well about the 45 pounds. This slide was done yesterday. I apologize. Yes, it is 45 pounds. You can stop asking. All right. So the key to Thursday, the key to your successful Thursday is actually don't show up with 30 pounds of withholdings. You really don't want to do that at these events. There is not time for you to be building on your robot at these events. You are supposed to show up and pass inspection. You should do all the 30-pound stuff at home, okay? You can still bring your 45 pounds. You can still bring your withholdings with you. That's completely optional, up to you. But you've used your time poorly if you're doing that. Okay, hopefully that made sense. We've got I'm just scanning the questions. There was a lot of people. Thank you, everybody who pointed that out. Somebody was asking, lunch is only going to be a half hour. Yes, it's a rolling lunch. As soon as you're done, you can start having lunch. It also turns out, if I go back to the schedule, Chris is not the only one to have pointed this out to me in the past. It turns out that, yeah, lunch is short. There's nowhere to go. So there is going to be food service, and many places will have some sort of box lunch thing. We are in somebody else's school. Their lunches typically end about 12:40. They need time to reset. So we're going to do a quick lunch. This is a running lunch. You are welcome to start eating whenever it's convenient for you. Okay. James has asked, is there going to be pre-ship inspections? No, I could not get FIRST to agree to that. They thought it was a splendid idea, but they didn't want to do it this year. They're going to do it next year. I'm getting questions about the 6 hours of access time and the unsealing of the robot bag. You need to read the rules about bag and tag, and very specifically the rules about district events. You are allowed to take your robot out of the bag for 6 hours. You have to do it in 2-hour blocks, and there are time constraints that you need to check out. So rather than tell you over this phone here and screw something up, you need to go read those rules. They're in the administrative manual, as I recall. Hopefully that answered the question. Okay. All right. So back to zooming forward again. Some changes at these events. Remember, these are these are high schools. These are universities. This is not Memorial Stadium. A lot of these venues are really kind of stretching it to fit 36 teams in them. So we are thinking small, folks. We are thinking, we're traveling light. You're only there for 2 days. You're not there for the full 3 days. I love the fact that everybody's got really cool pit decorations, but I'm hoping that you are considering how to lighten up your pit decorations so they don't consume too much of your inspection time to set up. Bring them. Show this the spirit. Do all of that cool stuff. You may want to consider carefully, though, how much of that stuff that you're actually going to bring, because it's going to be a busy morning, especially if you're going to OSU and Mount Vernon. I mean, you're not really even going to be there very long. So feel free to travel light. Feel free to update your design to make it lightweight and still express the really cool parts that make your team, okay? If you've got a lot of students, that's a lot of folks. Oh, thank you. I did the math wrong, or it was a typo. 1080, it is 10,080. Thank you. 36 times 30. All right. So most of our, if you haven't made your reservations for staying, you should probably get on that right away. You can bring your own food and water to all of our venues this year. That is pretty awesome. That's going to save everybody a lot of money. So that's a good thing. About the pits, you will get a 10 by 10 pit. You will have, some of these venues will have 9-foot aisles. This is, and I'm excluding the Portland District Championship. That will run like a full-size Portland Regional. It is a full-size Portland Regional. So, but everywhere else, in general, our pits are on hardwood floors. It is your responsibility not to damage the floor. We've spent an enormous amount of money to put down tarps. Those tarps are great for protecting against scuffs and wheel grit and dirt and grime. But if you drop your bench grinder or something heavy on the floor and ding it, we would really prefer not to hand you a bill for that. So, and a big one is some of you have pit decorations, some of you bring in furniture. Make sure that there are no sharp edges on the bottom. If you think you may have sharp edges, please just bring a couple or as many like 3-inch square, maybe 1/4-inch thick masonite pads or something to put under those. Our tarps will help with the scuffs. They will not protect against sharp stuff. The other thing, please plan on bringing a 2x2 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch piece of plywood, and that is what you're going to pound on. So we will just come unglued if you're sitting on top of somebody's basketball court and pounding on something on the floor with a hammer. We will probably take your hammer away from you. So please bring that. That is a requirement. That is going to be in our local rules. I'll show you our local rules here pretty soon. But these are all requirements. They are not general guidelines, and we will be enforcing these. Okay. About pit power. We are limited in the amount of power that we can draw. I caved recently and I ended up with bigger generators. However, you're still limited to about 400 watts per team. You can allocate that however you'd like. The reality is that you're going to be in an alliance, the Power Alliance. 6 teams around you, immediately surrounding you, will be your Power Alliance. You guys get to consume 2,400 watts and no more. If you start tripping the breaker, we're going to ask you to figure out how not to trip the breaker amongst the 6-team Power Alliance. So be careful with that. Battery chargers turn out not to use too much energy. I think you can probably get away with 2 or 3 of them. They only draw about 75 watts. The big ones are lighting. If you're bringing incandescent lights, I would go with fluorescence or something like that. Another big thing for you to consider, you may not use any outlets in the main gym. Most gyms have like 2 or 3 outlets. Our equipment, the The field control system and the audio-visual gear are going to take up 2 of those circuits. You are not allowed to use any outlets in the gym. If we find something plugged in there, we are going to confiscate it, and you will be given it back after award ceremony on Saturday. You've been warned. We are going to be very nasty about this, so please don't. Please make sure that your kids understand. You know, we're trying to keep the game running. So I don't care if your battery is dead. You can go back to the pits. Pits are not that far away. Okay. So nothing plugged into the gym, and that is also in our official rules. There we go. Any questions about that? I don't think so. I think I beat it to death. Off we go. There are requirements that you must bring this time. You must bring a 15-foot extension cord that'll handle 400 watts. 16 or 14 gauge is probably fine because you're not going to be able to draw more than 400 watts. We also want a 40 or 50-foot extension cord. The reason is that we are going to have a distribution hub. Your distribution hub may be as much as 50 feet away. It is up to you to get power to your own pits off of that distribution hub. They will be clearly labeled. Each power, I would recommend, or actually we're going to require you to bring a 6-outlet power strip or better so that you can power the things that are in your area. And then, of course, you need your pounding board. So these are the 4 things that we require. We also require that your extension cord be labeled on both ends with your team number in the event that we need to figure out whose cord is whose. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory, so that's not too bad. All right, wheel requirements, another really big one because we're going to be real sticklers about this. We have cable covers, yellow jackets, bumblebees, whatever you want to call them. They're all 2 inches tall. So your cart needs to have 3-inch diameter wheels. Now that's 3-inch diameter wheels. It turns out by the time you put the caster on it, it gives you about 4 inches of ground clearance. We will not allow you to bring anything less than 3-inch diameter wheels onto any of these floors. It is very, very much enforced, and if we damaged a basketball court this year because I think it was at Girls Gen because somebody's wheels were not in good working order. So if we hear a big squeaky wheel or something looks to be stuck, we're not going to allow you in with it. We're looking for soft rubber, no hard plastic or steel tread wheels. So check the bottom of your toolbox. That has to be a caster of worth, not the cheap crap that Husky puts on the bottom. So if you roll it and you can hear gravel, that's bad. Okay. Maximum weight is, we recalculated this since our last presentation. The maximum inch will be 50 pounds per inch of wheel size. So if you have 1 cart and 4 3-inch wheels, you get to bring with you 3 times 50 is 150 times 4 is 600 pounds max. We are, again, this one will be a little more difficult to enforce, but we're trying really hard not to damage the floor. All right. There will by no means, oh, I'm sorry, this should be 3 inches. I apologize. In no circumstances will wheels be less than 3 inches diameter. I will fix that in the slide, but that should be 3 inches. You won't be able to get over our cable humps and things bad. Okay, and I guess I duplicated some crap on the bottom of the slide. How am I doing so far? So I'm about to move on to some other items. Hopefully this made sense to you. Any questions about why we're going to get mad at you in the pits? Good. All right. So hang on a sec. I don't understand this slide, so I have to look at my slide real quick. I thought there was something in between here, but maybe there isn't. Pit power, Dean's judging. Okay. So we want to note a couple of changes. Yes, Chris, there will be no wheels less than 3 inches. Don't care on toolboxes, everything. If there's a wheel on the floor, it is 3 inches in diameter or better. Yes, I know you're going to have to change your wheels, and I'm going to have to do the same. So there we go. Dean's List judging has changed. If you are planning on submitting a Dean's List, you should probably look that up in the rules. But I wanted to point out that I wanted to point out that Dean's List is involves an essay, and apparently if you read the rules, they're hinting that it should probably be written by a mentor. I'm not sure. They made a couple of changes. I just gleaned that little ditty while I was preparing these slides. So you should check the rules. The rules for Dean's List have changed. We're going to be doing interviews. The interviews are with the student and a couple of judges. And that generally is going to happen on Saturday mornings at each district event. The actual interview with the students can be about 5 minutes. The judges will have read the essays that have been submitted, and so you may and probably should plan on showing that those students what was written about them so that they are prepared to talk about it. And their judges will ask questions about what they've read and those sorts of things. It is a change to how Dean's List was working in the past. And then the finalists for Dean's List will be announced at the district championships in Portland. You need not be in attendance to win. There are 2 nominees per team. So one of the questions is how many can we do? So you can do 2 juniors for the 2014 season. Okay. Several questions. Yes, you are doing 2 students and 1 Woody Flowers. Those are the things that get submitted. If we nominate 2 juniors in the 2014 season, will the team have to wait for them to graduate? No, you can do 2 juniors every year, or sophomores, I believe. 2 juniors or sophomores every year. And then do district events have Dean's List winners? No, they do not. The only Dean's List finalists, which is the proper term, is going to be done at the championships in Portland. I'm still working on first about recognizing everybody who was nominated, and we'll surprise you at the events on that one. All right, Nate, I see your question. I don't know the answer to Nate's question. He's saying TIMS does not allow Dean's List events to be district events. Only one I could select was Pacific Northwest. That may be a bug in their system. This is the first I've heard of that. We will check into that. Adrian, would you put that on the Pester Kevin list, please? We need to find out if there's an issue with TIMS and district event Dean List submissions. Thank you. All right. So now that's Dean's List. So advancing from district events, 64 of our 154 teams are going to advance to the regional championships in Portland. And I'm sorry, I snatched this slide out of presentation. Things we know, well, I guess we still know them. Advanced is based on the district point ranking system. I am willing to talk about that later, but we've done several presentations on that already. So I will entertain questions about district points at the end of the presentation. Each of your first 2 events, you'll receive points, and they're added together, and the top teams will advance, as do the chairman's teams. So so 64 of the 154 are going. Okay. And then the advancement from St. Louis, we are sending 24 teams. There are, I believe it is 3 chairmans, 2 engineering inspiration, and 1 rookie all-star. And then the rest are based on district points. So, and Robert is pointing out, by the way, we'll talk a little bit more about Dean's List in a sec. The judged awards that are advancing are Chairman's Engineering Inspiration and Rookie All-Star. I was incorrect in this slide. Crap. See what happens when you grab slides from old presentations. It's actually the highest ranked teams are advancing. Sorry about that. And it's based on the point ranking system. So strike the winning alliance advance. That isn't actually correct, although when you look to see how many points the winning alliance receives, they're likely to advance. Okay, so anyway, I'll get off that slide before I get in trouble. Now, we were approached by many teams about this, about what happens that we don't find out until week 7 that at the Portland Championship where you're actually going or not, and there's a very short turnaround time. And so we've looked into everything from chartering planes to doing airline reservations to just letting you fend for yourself. Based on dozens of teams asking us for this, we are taking an enormous risk. We have reserved and guaranteed 200 tickets from SeaTac to St. Louis. We attempted to do that in Portland as well, but it did not work out. We apologize to the Portland teams or the Oregon teams. It became a very, very large number, and this is the best that we could do. We have the tickets on the direct flight from SeaTac to St. Louis out of Seattle. It just got really complex with Portland, so we apologize about that. We are on the hook for $560 per ticket. It turns out that is the going rate for short booked tickets. You will, if you look up, you can find an occasional 1 or 2 tickets that are like $200, but most of them are going to be $560. We have done research on this. So we currently owe Alaska Airlines $112,000. What I'm saying is that if we need to have you guys follow through, and a lot of you were pretty well seasoned teams. We need to use these tickets up. If we don't do that, we literally go bankrupt, and this will be the last year of First in the Pacific Northwest. So we don't want that to happen. So we need folks to follow through on this. So we have we've allocated about well, we've got 200 tickets. We expect to send about 20 teams. Some of them we know have already bought tickets and such. So we'll allocate up to 20 tickets per team, and it'll be sort of a first come first serve. And we'll do our best to help you guys out with this travel arrangement. Okay, we are not airline travel. We are not travel agents. So we'll find out. Details for the flights will be made available on the website when we get closer, and we have it.
My guess is Kevin, too, will also discuss it in more detail at the team briefing for the district championship, because those would be the teams that would need to know the specifics for the event.
Yes. Yep. Our intent was the people who qualify from district championships have first shot at these tickets. So that is our intent. If there are tickets left over and people are in need of tickets to get St. Louis, we'll deal with that if that situation arises. Okay. There. Oregon teams, yes, you will be eligible to claim these tickets as well. You'll need to fly out of Seattle. The nice thing is the Seattle flight is a direct flight. But yes, all teams from the district championship are eligible. We're not trying to. We tried to do it out of Portland. We honestly did, but the numbers were getting so big we had to stop at some point. Okay. I think and then hotel, Adrian, I forgot about hotels. What did we work out with Steel Meetings about hotels from the district championship?
Steel Meetings is willing to hold rooms for us. Since we just kind of solidified that we were only going to be able to get 200 airline tickets this week, I haven't spoken with them since then to figure out exactly what we need to do. You can book hotels right now if you think you're going to go. It costs $20 per room if you end up canceling those rooms. But Steel Meetings was willing to be very flexible with us, and I will get a block of rooms that will kind of go along with these 200 airline tickets for teams to use as well. Yeah.
So we're trying our best. We just don't have the resources to underwrite as many tickets as we actually thought we needed. that would have literally bankrupted us just on the deposit. So, okay. We are aware and we are trying to do our best to accommodate folks in their travel plans. Now, I think it's a very prudent move by all of you is to be optimistic and have a plan in place for if I make this if I'm going to Portland, who am I taking and those sorts of things, and just figure that out early because you may have very short notice. I would do all of the paperwork that required for your school, and I would probably make sure that all of your students' parents know that this is coming and that you are optimistic that you are going to win, because I believe that you are. And so best case scenario, here is the path and the things that need to happen to get us to the World Championships. Okay. I will point out for the rookies on the call, one of you could potentially be going to St. Louis because there are very few rookie teams. So this is something that you should do a little research on, and if you just rookies, please, if you rookie teams would like any pointers on how to do these arrangements, I'm just volunteered Adrian, who's done this many times, about she can help sort of guide you a little bit about things to think of. All right. Thank you, Robert. Robert Steele from Skunk Works Aviation High School, 1983, FRC of 1983, can also be reached, and they have an enormous travel machine. They take a lot of students to a lot of places, and they're actually quite good at this. They have a lot of experience in St. Louis. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to belabor this too much longer, so I'm now going to entertain any questions that you have, prefacing it by the fact that we will, for your specific events, we will go through in great detail how to arrive, where to park, box lunches, you know, how to get in and out of the building and where things are, and we'll have nice, you know, aerial photos for you to see where things are. So I'll still entertain site-specific questions, but I may just defer you. But does anybody have any questions about, in general, what's happening here? Fire away. Well, yay. It doesn't look like there's any coming in. Oh, inspections and practice matches for Brenda. Oh, yeah. Brenda, thank you so much for pointing that out. And Jack, I'm going to get to the point system in just a sec. I've got another few slides to talk about the point system about advancing, so I'm going to do that right here at the end. A couple of things, and I'm going to grab up my browser here so I can show you, because I'm starting to get the same question. Is this one? This one is not logged in, so there we go. So if you go to, so first of all, if you go to firstwa.org, this is our webpage, and you come over here to FRC, and you go down to webinars, FRC webinars, and team briefing. All of the slides are right here. If you're looking for the slides and the schedules, we're working on the web pages this week for each event, and we will have their public agendas and such posted. This is a copy of all of the slides that you just saw. I forgot to talk about the district check-in. See, that's the slide that's missing. Just a sec. I'm missing a slide. I'm missing a slide. It is, I'm going right to the point system. Okay. Oh, so one of the things that I'm going to ask all teams to do is we need your lead mentor to come to FRC, district model, and check-in. And I apologize that this is what Randy had alluded to earlier. We would like the name and address of the main contact that is going to each event. So my team, that's me, Ross, Kevin R.O. Kevin R.O. at firstwa.org. There we go. And and there's my mobile phone. Oh, that's my phone number. I'm going to select an event. I'm going to Auburn Mountain View. My team number is 4089. We have like 24 students and 6 mentors. And now, the key thing here, do you need a pit table? This is really important. You do not get a pit table unless you ask for one. This is how you ask for one. So here it is right there. Yes, I need a pit table. If you click on that, yay. And then you are going to verify that all of your cartwheels are larger than 3 inches in diameter. And if you don't, it's going to remind you that all of your cartwheels need to be larger than 3 inches diameter. So I'm getting agreements. So when you say yes, you have seen the message. And so there we go. So then if you click submit, it was going to send you, it'll say thank you, and it'll send you a little confirmation email. Now the key things that I wanted off of this thing, by the way, in case you're wondering, is I wanted your whoever the mentor that is going to be at that particular event, the head lead mentor for your team for that event. I know that some people switch off. We need their name and telephone number so that we can look them up. Okay, so you'll need to do this for both or even 3 events. So we appreciate your doing that. It gives us a heads up about whether you need a pit table and how many people to expect. If you change your mind, you're going to get this email. I'll show you the one I got. Where is it? It is in this directory. Hang on one sec. Here it is. Here is the email that I got. There it is. And if you need to change the details, find that email. There's a little edit forms result. You click on that, and it comes up right here. And oh, that was supposed to work. You know what? That should have worked. I don't know why it didn't. If it doesn't work for you, just fill it in again, and we'll take the most recent update that you did. We'll keep these are all time stamped, so we'll keep that for you. So you can just fill it out again. How'd that sound, Chris? Is that good? Invitations will be sent. We will be sending out links to the webinars and invitations to the webinars for the team briefings. We're going to do that by. We're going to do that.
I'm working on those. I'm working on those now. Auburn Mountain View and the Glacier Peak and Oregon City will go out tonight. Okay. To the lead mentor, but then we're also getting those links posted on the calendar on the First WA website. So if people lose the link, or if other people want to attend, they can attend that way as well. Yep.
And David is asking, please confirm load-in for typical event starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, and you need to be loaded in, get inspected, and set up pit space by 10 p.m. Actually, it should be at it should have been at 5 p.m. is when it opens. Let me go back to the schedule. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong slide. Hang on one sec. Pits open at 5 p.m. Practice fields. The practice field opens at 6 p.m. So we're not going to actually let people practice until we get most of the folks into the room. Does that make sense to you, David? Jason is asking how big the pit tables are. They are 6 feet by 30 feet. They're most often going to be like those lifetime plastic tables. They're not really big and heavy duty. We will not give you a chair. Chairs tend to get in the way. But we will give you a table if you ask for one. If you don't think you need a table, please don't ask for one, because it turns out many of the venues we have to rent them, and we just have to move them, and it's just more work for us. So we would appreciate it. We're all volunteers here, so that is very much appreciated. Do any of the sites have lodging options, or are you totally on your own for that? That is a great question. You should go to Steel Meetings, and to get there, I will show you how to do that real quick, since there are, I had to actually refresh my own brain on how to do this. If you go to usfirst.org, FRC, well, actually FRC, the only way, there's probably a shorter way to get there, but you go to events and regional district events, and that's going to pop up, and I'm going to slide this down. Turns out we're all the way down at the bottom. The list got really long. Here we go. So, oh, firstchampionshiphousing.com. That's what it was. Okay. So, but if you can't remember that, you can select, here's the Auburn one. Is the entire team required to show up on Thursday, or just 5 to drop off the robot and pit supplies? Alan, Thursday, you are required to pass inspection. This is not a drop-off thing, okay? So be very clear about that. Your team is expected to pass inspection on Thursday. So no, that drop-off thing is actually on Wednesday. At PDX will be different. So the standard regional thing is different. District events, you're going to show up at 5, you're going to set your pits up, and you're going to pass inspections. And anyway, so if you come down here, this is sort of the public agenda is on here, and the hotel information gets you first championship housing, and then you can pick a regional, and you can, competition is FRC, the event, and you can whiz down here to the bottom, you'll find Pacific Northwest. There's all of our events. So if you wanted to stay in Mount Vernon, it'll give you the standard dates, and you can pick how many single-person rooms you want, doubles, and then it'll do that. You may or may not have heard this. If you are going to the Mount Vernon event, you should get your hotel room now. Tesoro, the refinery, is shutting down for a maintenance project. They're bringing in thousands of workers, and the hotel rooms are likely to disappear in a huge hurry. So if you are going to Mount Vernon and planning to spend the night, make your reservations, well, tonight or tomorrow. Okay. Good. Let's see. Who else do we got? Somebody was asking the table size again. They are 6-foot tables, and they are 30 inches wide. So it's, what is that, 72 by 60 for the most part. There may be slight variations on that. All right. Alan, confirm for me that you heard that answer, because I don't want to surprise you. All right. Oh, you did not hear the answer to your entire team. So 5295 is asked, is the entire team required to show up on Thursday, or just 5 to drop off robot pit supplies? You must show up, set up your pits, and pass inspection. Okay, good. Thank you. I want to make sure you got that. All right. With that, any other questions about just sort of general logistics? I'm going to whiz out here to the end then, because a lot of people are not quite up on the district point model system. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes and tell you about it, so that you understand how it is that you're advancing. Many of you may have seen this before. The whole idea behind the point system was to rank the teams fairly, to make sure that the best teams are actually getting rewarded for doing the best work. It removes something called the valleys of doom. I'll show you that in a sec. And so we're really trying to make sure that teams get an opportunity to be recognized and rewarded for playing consistently and playing well, and allowing us to send our higher ranked teams on to the World Championships. There is, if you look up, if you go to the previous webinar, you can watch a recording of it. If you head out into the middle, you can, I did a much more in-depth analysis of all of this stuff. But the basics of it are, under the under the old regional model system, if you think about it, if you were the captain of the winning alliance, or a captain of the #1 seeded alliance, your chances of being a finalist or winning the event is actually pretty high. And if it turns out if you were the captain of the 8th place alliance, your odds turned out to go down pretty far. And the reason is that the captain of the #1 alliance is likely to pick the next strongest team. And, even if you did really well in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th place, your chances weren't really all that great. And it got even nastier because the way that the alliance selection works, it turns out that teams that were at the bottom of the scale were really getting over-rewarded, because look what happens if you were the 16th pick. You were on the #1 alliance, and your chances of winning are and moving to St. Louis were just as great as they were for the captain of the winning alliance, or the number one alliance. So all of these teams were being under-rewarded. And so that's what this point system was designed to fix, and part of that is allowing teams to play more than once and to be able to show us how consistent they can be. Okay, so using the district model, you can see that the captain is still doing well on points, and actually all the captains are still doing well on points, but the 16th draft is no longer receiving the same points as the teams who did the absolute best in the event. And so that sort of evens out this valley. There's no valley here anymore. You're still likely to advance by being the 16th pick, so that gives our lower end rookie teams a little bit of an advantage, but that's fine. We don't mind too bad. But compared to the original system, we're not giving them such an enormous boost. So that was that. OPR, I can never remember what it stands for. I'm sure Robert Steele is already typing it in. I think it was overall point ranking or something like that. It's a ranking system that is done out of band. It's not an official first ranking system. Offensive power ranking, yes. So it's another way of analyzing first teams. It's not really an official number. It's just sort of a number that people came up with, and a lot of teams pay attention to it. First doesn't, but anyway, that's what it means. So the result of this, and this is the world's most confusing slide, but here it is. Let me tell you what it means. This is PowerPoint hell right here. Okay, what this is these are the percentage of teams making the eliminations at World Championships. If you watch, what happened was, Texas was really dominant there for a while. Michigan was sort of average, and it turned out that California was sort of in there too. And they picked these numbers from Michigan, and they were just showing that they went for two other regions that were basically the same size as theirs. And so everybody knows whenever you go to watch the action on Einstein, it seems like half the teams are from Michigan. That isn't really true, but it just seems like Michigan's always well represented, and it is actually true. Their chances of being represented on Einstein are much higher, and the correlation is that because of their district point model, and you can sort of see where the inflection point happened right here. You get out of the noise, and all of a sudden they're doing better. That's because they are now sending better teams to the World Championships rather than having 1/3 of their teams be rookies. And so that is sort of what happens. We don't know what happened to Texas. The guy who did the statistical analysis was just not sure what to say about Texas, but that's just, we don't know. Okay, but anyway, the key is that by using the point system, it makes the competitors in St. Louis be a little bit more competitive. Okay, it's a pretty big change. So we expect to see. We're hoping that this will advance more of our teams and more of our better teams from across our entire district to World Championships and get them onto Einstein, because they're going to be they're based on good, strong merit rather than the sort of random luck of the draw. Okay, so
yeah, Kevin, you have two more. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
You have two more questions about inspection. One, Tina wants to know, her team has to travel for all of the events. Do they have to check in on Thursday, or will there be an opportunity to pass inspection Friday morning?
Tina, we need you to be there on Thursday. I'll be honestly. You could potentially pass inspection in the morning, but the reality is that you'd be way better off leaving school a little bit early and getting there. I can't remember where you're coming from, but hopefully it isn't too far away.
And then Brenda wants clarification on whether or not a team can get on the practice field if they have not passed inspection.
No, that we were trying not to. On the real field, you can go on the practice field, but we're trying to ensure that you've passed inspection before we let you on the official field, and that is your carrot. Because again, Thursday is not final build day anymore. Thursday is now pass inspection day. So that's what we want you to do. We want you to pass inspection. Okay. All right. We'll work that out, Brenda. I think that if Thursday is going to be a boring day, by the way, for the mass of your team. This is going to be a very focused, get your robot to pass inspection day. I don't think you need to bring your whole team if you can avoid it. They're probably going to be either bored or in the way. We don't really have a whole lot of place to put them. So I think a good strategy is if you're coming locally, bring your drivers, bring your main robot builders, and bring your technical people. There's no cheering to be done. So Thursday really is pass inspection day. Now, if you're traveling from a great distance, by all means, bring the team. They may elect to work on the pits, or they can still wander around a bit, or they can go sit in the stands and watch the guys put up the field, or we may put them to work. The latter is probably most true. But if you just wanted to bring a small contingent, there's no ceremony. They won't miss anything. All of the ceremonial stuff happens on Friday and Saturday. Okay. All right. We have our lead robot inspector, Darren. Actually, I'm going to unmute Darren here for a sec and look to see if Carrie's here. Maybe we can. No Carrie, but where's Darren? Darren. Hi, Darren. How are you? Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. Somebody moved. There you go. There. Darren, you there?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Are we letting teams practice?
Yeah, what we want to do, though, we want to still hold the fact of passing inspection, but there's going to come a time we'll make a decision at the event at the time where every team is going to have to connect to the FMS.
Yes.
So they'll have to come out there, working or not, and connect to the field management system. Yep.
So thanks, Darren. You can go ahead and I'll let you mute yourself. You can jump in if I make any other mistakes. So the deal is that before matches begin, we will haul whatever state your robot is in out to the field and have it connect. It's an important check. It's an important part of our quality control system, is to make sure that your radio is ready to go. So even if you missed the first round or two because you didn't pass inspection, you're certainly not out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. It's happened before to some of our most experienced, best teams that they didn't pass inspection for the first round or two. But we do need to have you connect to the field. So we'll work that out on site. Remember, this format is new to us too, so some of this stuff we're making up on the fly, but we have pretty good experience doing this stuff. So, okay. Anyway, so back to this point scoring system. Sorry, folks, that for the diversion. All right, rough overview. You will play twice, 2 district events. You're going to generate up some points. We will add your district points together, and that will form your district ranking, and it will be numerically ordered, whatever the teams are. These are just random team numbers, by the way, so don't look for yourself. We take the top 64 teams. It's actually going to be the top 54 teams plus the Chairman's Award winners. They are going to the district championships. At the district championships, you are going to play an entirely new game. I'm sorry, you're going to play let me take that back. At the district championships, you're going to play the same game, but your district championship points are worth 3 times what these other points are. So the points at the district championship are worth a lot. So performing well at the district championship is nearly mandatory. If you there's almost no way to make it to St. Louis by just competing in 2 districts and skipping the district championship. In fact, I think it's mathematically really unlikely for that. So you're going to have to do well at the district championships. Okay, we will take all 3. So your district ranking before combined with your district championship ranking, and that will give us the top 24 teams. Those 24 teams minus the award winners. I apologize that number isn't quite correct. We are sending 24, but it will include some judged award winners. I think it's like the top 18 or let's see, top 18 ranked teams advanced to St. Louis. Okay, just that simple. Okay, all right. And those details, I'm sorry, I grabbed these slides out of another presentation and I forgot to edit them. I got up at 3 this morning, so you can erase this line. It isn't actually a rough overview. This is actually what's going to happen. I apologize. I grabbed this out of another presentation. Okay, all right. So I'm going to leave you with 2 more things. If you have questions or concerns, there's my email address. And so the other thing I want you to remember is we need some people on your team to volunteer to be inspectors and judges and other volunteers. We really need your help. We need 1,200 volunteers to run this season, and that is a lot more than we've ever used in the past. And we need you guys to sign up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, so we appreciate your doing that. Okay, with that, I thank you all for being attentive and watching this, and I'm hoping that it was useful. I'm going to hang out here for just a few more minutes and answer some questions, but I think I'm going to end the recording now.